Good morning, everybody. Well, I don't think there's anybody in this room that doesn't remember where they were 10 years ago today when we heard the news that the Twin Towers had been attacked. I know I was in another room and my wife yelled out to me. I came in and saw the plane hit the first tower, and my mind just went blank. I kept asking myself, what does this mean? What does this mean? What happened? What happened? What happened? And then when the second plane hit, it was like a whole different dynamic. Like, this is more than just an accident. And I kept trying to wrap my mind around, what does this mean? What does this mean? How many people were killed? Who did it? Why did they do it? What does it mean? And to this day, I still can't fully comprehend the meaning of that. What I do know is that it changed everything. Each and every one of us in this room was affected by those attacks. Each and every one of us in the room today continue to be affected as our security continues to evolve against future attacks. Everything changed. We went to color-coded alert systems warning us that something might be coming. There was a raw, very subtle but nevertheless frenzied nerve in the collective consciousness of America that still remains there, a fearful nerve as to what might happen next. We developed a sense of adversity towards a whole group of people that went way beyond the attackers and the enemies themselves into a general categorization of those people. Our history changed. Our social structure changed. The history of our civilization took an unexpected right turn, and here we are still dealing with the aftermath. So today, we're here to memorialize the people that lost their lives in those attacks, the 3,000 people that lost their lives in the Twin Towers, the 500 people that lost their lives in the airplanes, the 343 fireworkers and rescue givers that came forth to try to save other people's lives who perished in that process. We're here to honor them, to memorialize them, and also to send our love and our prayers out to the families that still grieve their absence. We have two people with us today that directly experienced the loss of a loved one in 9/11, and I'd like them to come forward and share a little bit with us about what they experienced in the moments leading up to it, the moments leading after the attack. And what really impresses upon me most is the fact that all those people who were killed on that day, they got up that morning just like it was any other morning. They had their coffee, they read their newspaper, they went to work or about their daily activities with absolutely no idea that that was the last day of their life. Even up to for some of them, the seconds before they perished, they had no idea that this was coming down. So I invite Mr. Ellis to come forward and Penny Johnson. Why do you sit here, Penny? Why don't you sit over here? Yeah. Thank you. Well, I know that both of you had a personal experience with somebody that lost their life in the 7/11 or 9/11 attacks. And so I'd like for you to share that a little bit with us. And perhaps the last time that you're with your loved one, the words that were exchanged, when it dawned on you that perhaps your loved one might be in danger or might be a victim. And we'll start with you, Penny.
I have to get ready first. This is a hat from a golf tournament in honor and memory of Julie Marie Geis, who is the person that I knew that we lost that day. Picture, if you will, a very hot Labor Day weekend. And the circle of friends has gathered up in the swimming pool of friends who are fortunate enough to have one. We're standing in the pool. You can't swim because there's no way to swim and not spill the sangria. So we're standing in the pool, and some are floating, and the little floating devices are being bumped from person to person, and they're filled with all kinds of snacks and hors d'oeuvres, and we're sitting around yakking and talking, and open blows the gate to the driveway, and in come two dogs named Cagney and Lacey. And their equally robust owners, Julie and her life partner, Becky, wheeling a cart full, ice chest full, of more beer, more sangria, and yet more hors d'oeuvres. Julie's philosophy on party giving was, if I can bring 2 bottles, why not bring a case of wine? And that's exactly what they did. And they got into the pool eventually after the rafts were refilled, and we're sitting around talking, and Julie says, well, Becky and I are going to take this really neat trip. She said, you need to know that Julie was the senior vice president for Aon Corporation based here in Kansas City. And she had been called to a 2-hour meeting at the World Trade Center. And she and Becky were going to make a combined business and personal trip. You know, nice hotel, theater, good food, nice restaurants. And so they were talking about it, and we were all excited for them. And so it was on that note that the conversation was left, and we said, you know, we want updates when you get back, so maybe we can all find each other together again upon your return. Fast forward then to 9/11. Becky gets up early. Julie gets up earlier. She gets ready and heads off to her meeting. Little after 9 o'clock, she calls Becky and says, don't worry, I'm fine. Something has happened over in the first tower. She was in the second tower on the 102nd floor. She said, we're fine. We're just trying to figure out what we're going to do. And that was the last that they spoke. And of course, we know that the rest is history. So that's my last recollection of my friend Julie in the flesh. We remember her in many other ways, but I think that's for the next conversation. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you. Well, I'm not sure. I don't have a last recollection of my nephew, John. He was an interesting character. We were talking this morning. He was probably a New York character. My sister was born in Kansas, and his father was born here in Missouri, and they moved in the 60s to Long Island, and he grew up in Long Island. And he was an interesting young man that became an attorney, became a New York policeman after he was an attorney. He, in uniform, was very impressive. He was a very handsome young man, and became an actor, was an extra on lots of different shows because of his demeanor and his enthusiasm. My memories of John, I have a lot of memories of John, but my wife and I ran the marathon in 1997, and we went in early, and John took it upon himself. He ran that marathon with us, more or less. I mean, he ran in the same race. And he took us around. My wife is from New York City, grew up there, and he showed us New York Johnny style. And it was an absolute marvelous day for this country boy to see New York through his eyes. And we developed a rapport from that point on that was with us. And we were, while we might not have communicated a lot, we were always on the same wavelength. And so on that day, when this thing hit the towers, I didn't think about John. Actually, John that morning, unbeknownst to me at that time, all I knew was that he was in the Bronx in a unit in the Bronx precinct, And so I thought, well, he's safe. And except that he had retired that morning, and he was in one police plaza, and he had turned in his badge, and the plane hit, and of course an alert went through the police headquarters, and a man that he had served with in the legal department at NYPD came by, and John grabbed his badge back and bought a polo shirt. He was in his civilian clothes, and he ran over with those men, and they went down underneath the plaza and helped people get out. They guided and directed them. They kept people from going on that top level where people were falling. And he never made it out. They all made it out. They all kind of sensed that it was going to come down. And I guess he included. They felt that he did too, but for something happened and he didn't get out. It's been an interesting thing since that time. Well, anyway, that's kind of what happened. And we're not supposed to have favorites, but he was my favorite nephew, and he was a good man.
Thank you, thank you. Well, our hearts go out to both of you, and we certainly cherish the beautiful part the two people played in your lives, and appreciate you sharing today. I know it's not easy.
Can I add just a little bit
Yes,
more?
please do.
I think one of the reasons that Duke wanted me to convey the story to you about the swimming pool and our last conversation is the stark serendipity of what it took for Julie to be at the World Trade Center on 9/11. It could have been any of us. And I think it dovetails right into the things that Duke and Heidi and Janet have been talking about in the last few weeks about trying to train your brain to live in the moment. And one of the things that I still respect about Julie is that she lived life with incredible gusto. And I have to just tell you a couple of really swell stories. She was out playing golf one day with a mutual friend of ours, and our mutual friend was having a terrible time with her golf game that day. And Julie looked at her and she said, "Martha, golf is for fun. If you're not having fun, move the ball." Just move the ball until you start having fun. She was a huge Chiefs fan. Her fantasy football team had just won the championship the year before, and they were gearing up again. She was a 4-year scholarship athlete to the University of Nebraska. Absolutely unheard of in her day. Absolutely unheard of. She was teaching special education children while she was obtaining her master's degree and her PhD. She lived life with incredible gusto, and I wish you could have met her. Curly brown hair, twinkling eyes, a rascal who was always there with a quip. She never let anybody get very far from their truth. Strong, dynamic, warm, and loving. You would have liked her.
Thank you so much, Penny. Let's give them a round of applause. We are now going to move into meditation, and this morning we're going to do a meditation that pulls together a vision. 9/11 has happened. It's changed our lives. What can we do individually and collectively to hold a vision for the world to make sure things like this don't happen again, and not only in our country but in any country? A vision for peace and a vision for prosperity for all people. So we'll now move into meditation.